Hi everybody, welcome to Sacred Body Studio. My name is Fabi. So today we're gonna talk about the common mistakes we have when we start yoga, or we do when we start yoga, and more than mistakes, a little bit misunderstanding, or sometimes we are not aware of it. So one of the first things is pain in our wrist. Remember that we do a lot of downward dogs in our yoga classes, and some of people say like, "Oh, I am not strong. I don't have a strong wrist." Well, that is not really it's not supposed to be strength for the wrist because the wrist is a joint. So what is happening here is that we are not using our muscles, our chest muscles, our arms muscles, our shoulders, our back muscles, and our core as well. So it's super important that when we are doing arms weight poses, that we don't let the weight collapse on our wrist. So the most simple things to do to avoid that pain in the wrist is when you are coming into any position, it could be even all fours, because even some people in all fours feel still the pain. So what we are gonna do is first be aware that the hands are not flat on the ground, the fingers are not flat, because when you have your fingers flat, you won't have the strength to engage your muscles. So literally you will rely the weight onto the wrist. The other thing is like if we don't have the fingers flat, we have them like a slightly kind of bend in the middle of the finger, so kind of slightly off the ground. And you need to have that sensation of kind of gripping the ground. So it's more in this position than completely like that. That will help you to push the ground, to extend the arms, the back, but the most important, to engage your muscles. Other thing is important is that we balance the weight. So when we are going into downward dog, yeah, we normally want to push with the wrist. And that is when we start with that pain. Even if the fingers are on the ground, we put more pressure in our wrist. So what we have to do is to balance the weight between the wrist, this part of your hand, and your fingertips. So literally you are balancing your own weight onto your whole hand, but on your fingertips and this part of your hand. Okay, so try it with me. So come on to all fours. Keep your fingers completely flat, 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 flat. Then curl the toes under, lift your knees, only tiny. Mhm. And feel where is the pressure. Now release your knees, and we're gonna do the same exercise, lifting the knees a little bit, but this time we're gonna curve the fingers and press with your fingertips, like you want to grip the ground. So press and lift. Where do you feel it more? Try a couple of times. When you have your fingers straight or flat, you will feel more in your wrist and your hands. But when you have them grip, you will feel more the tension in your chest, in your shoulders, and your upper back as well. So that's why we need to be careful that we don't rely the weight onto the wrist, that we use gravity to engage the muscles, to elongate the muscles, and to support the weight of our body. So when we are, well, let's go together again. So we are going downward dog. Normally, the index fingers should be pointing forward, not the middle one, because that rotate more internally the elbows, and we want them more in, like external rotation of the arms. So we press with the fingertips, we curl the toes under. Remember, middle of the fingers slightly off the ground, press the ground, lift the knees, and we go all the way downward dog. When we are in downward dog, try to press with your fingertips against the ground, like you want to grip the ground, to extend more your arms, extend more your back. Now let's extend the fingers and keep your fingers flat on the ground. So you feel how your elbows lock, but you don't feel that sensation too much strength coming from your arms. Now slightly bend your fingers, slightly bend your fingers, push through your fingertips, and you have more power to extend your arms and your back. How you feel? Good? So this is something that we need to be very careful, because it's very normal. I remember when I started to do yoga, I have lots of pain in my wrist until I discovered that when you do this position of the fingers, you engage your muscles, and that help you to don't let the weight collapse on the wrist. But all the time, anytime, remember, it's good to kind of stretch your wrist, do exercises for mobility on your wrist. But the most important is to don't let the weight collapse on your wrist. use your muscles, your chest, tricep, bicep, deltoids, your back muscles, trapezius, rhomboids, your chest pectoralis, and your core. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you in the next video. Remember, you can find us in Instagram as a Sacred Body Studio. Follow our online classes as well, and our page, sacredbodystudio.com, and we see you in the next video. Namaste.